This episode is brought to you by Sterling Soap Company. How often do you think about your soap? Well, if you answered, not much, maybe you should. You see, a lot of what passes for soap in stores is technically not soap, according to the FDA's definition. It's full of lab-created chemicals and detergents because, well, it's cheaper to make. Now, what if you could buy natural soap made from natural ingredients like tallow, palm oil, coconut oil, and scented with essential oils, and for just a little more than you'd pay for grocery store soap? Sterling Soap is 100% natural, and with a wide variety of bath soaps, shave soaps, beard balm, lotions, and cologne, there's a product and a scent for just about everybody. Check them out for yourself at sterlingsoap.com. That's STIRLING soap.com.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Darren Hayes, host of the Pigskin Dispatch and Jersey Dispatch podcast. I hope you've enjoyed another great episode here on Sports History Network. Now, speaking of sports history, this episode was brought to you by Firefly Books, and they have two great ones for you this summer. For basketball fans, they have the NBA 75, the definitive history by author Dave Zarum, who's appeared on our Jersey Dispatch podcast recently. He tells about the experience, the thrilling journey of the NBA, from its humble beginnings to its modern glory. Uncover the untold stories of triumph, controversy, and the greatest stars of the game. This isn't just a book. It's courtside seats to over 75 years of NBA history. And for the golf enthusiasts, swing into The Golf Round I'll Never Forget by Matt Adams. Relive 50 of golf's most memorable moments through the eyes of the legends themselves. From Garcia's triumph at the 2017 Masters to Nicklaus' miraculous 1986 comeback, it's the closest you'll get to walking the fairways with golf's greatest. Get your summer read on. Grab a copy of NBA 75 or The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, available online or at your favorite bookstore.
This is Basketball History 101 with Rick Loayza.
Welcome back to Award-winning Basketball History 101, part of the Sports History Network. I am your host, Rick Loayza, and this is the podcast where we bring to life some of the forgotten stories from basketball history. We are bringing old school basketball to a new school audience, and today we bring you the story of the friendship between Bob Cousy and Bill Russell, or maybe the lack of friendship. You'll see what I mean as I continue with this story. You know, friendship can be a delicate thing. It generally requires effort from both sides, but if you can find an incredible friendship, it can be quite rewarding. Now, the careers of Cousy and Russell overlapped by 7 years. Bob Cousy was a rookie with the Boston Celtics in 1950, but it was not until the autumn of 1956 when Russell showed up that their partnership began, and it lasted for 7 seasons until Cousy retired in the spring of 1963. Russell would end up playing for 6 more years after Cousy left the team. And how successful were they in those 7 years when they played together? Well, they won the championship 6 times in those 7 years. And the 1 year where they failed to win it, they still made the NBA Finals but lost out to the St. Louis Hawks when Russell had a severely injured ankle. In terms of basketball, their partnership was practically perfect. There are basketball duos throughout history that seem like matches made in heaven. There were duos like Magic and Kareem, Jordan and Pippen, Steph and Clay, Bird and McHale, Kobe and Shaq, and before all of those duos, there was Cousy and Russell, and they clicked almost immediately on the court. Red Auerbach even told Cousy the year before Russell arrived that there was this college kid out in California, and if the Celtics could land that kid, he would change everything for the Celtics. And of course, Auerbach was talking about Bill Russell. Auerbach had built a very strong team in Boston, but he lacked a rebounder and defensive presence, and he knew that Bill Russell was the answer to those problems. Once Russell arrived in Boston, he supercharged the team. He seemingly grabbed every single rebound. He would turn and fire the outlet pass like the ball was coming out of a cannon. Russell barely had to look at where he was passing the ball because he and Cousy had already figured out where Cousy would be for those outlet passes. Basically, Cousy would run over to the near sideline as close to midcourt as possible. Again, once Russell secured that rebound, he knew exactly where Cousy was going to be, and he would fire that outlet pass to his point guard. The other three Celtics were sprinting down court, knowing that Cousy would deliver the pass to whichever one was in the best position to score. It was magical. And keep in mind, I am saying that as a Lakers fan. I do not really like the Celtics, but I am honest enough to appreciate good basketball. Cousy and Russell played some very good basketball. Off the court, it was a bit different, and that is what I want to get into in today's episode. Within the locker room, all of the Celtics would join in on teasing each other or making jokes about each other, and that is all normal banter that you will find in almost any locker room. There were no issues there. Cousy and Russell joked with each other in a playful way that was perfectly acceptable. Beyond that, it became tougher. When Russell arrived in Boston, it was a challenge off the court. Russell was newly wealthy and moved into one of Boston's nicer suburbs, and he was not welcome there by many of his neighbors, and they even told him so. In one situation, while Russell was out to dinner with his wife, people broke into Russell's home and trashed the place. They broke furniture, tore the bed sheets, shattered plates, and splashed paint everywhere. And they wrote messages on the wall that I will not even repeat here. It was truly awful. Russell did not press charges, and he also tried to keep the whole incident as quiet as possible. He did not want to see the story show up in the newspaper, where the perpetrators might then have that framed as some sort of a trophy. But this was just one of the many things that Russell had to deal with that most of his teammates had no idea about. Russell had to hear comments in nearly every NBA city that they traveled to. He received hate mail, and not just hate mail, but sometimes death threats. Red Auerbach tried to intercept that kind of mail and get rid of it before Russell even saw it. Auerbach did not want his star center to have to play with that kind of pressure on him. But remember, this was the late 1950s and early 1960s. Civil rights legislation was still in the future. Segregation was still the law in some of the cities where the Celtics would play. In one famous incident, the Celtics went down to Kentucky to play an exhibition game to allow Frank Ramsey, one of the other Celtics, to play in front of his home state. The hotel where the Celtics were staying did not allow Russell to eat in the hotel restaurant because it was for whites only. Russell told Auerbach about the incident, and rather than move to a different hotel, Russell decided to simply fly back to Boston immediately and skip the game altogether. But he did so with Auerbach's blessing. It angered many in the Kentucky crowd that Russell, along with the two other black teammates from the Celtics, decided to fly home instead of play the game just because the hotel was for whites only. The crowd just could not understand why the black players would not just do what they were told, which was to play basketball. It caused quite a stir in Kentucky, and the local officials said that the Celtics would never be invited back to play in Kentucky. And Auerbach did not care because he was never going to bring the Celtics back to Kentucky anyway. As soon as the game was over, the Celtics flew home and never played another game in that state. But again, this was a type of thing that Russell was dealing with regularly, like hearing racist threats from opposing fans. For his part, Cousy did not know how to react or what to say to Russell. Cousy knew that his teammate was hurting and going through some stuff that Cousy would never be able to relate to, but he could never find the right words to say, so he said nothing. By his own admission, Cousy did feel a little bit threatened by Russell's presence on the Celtics. I mean, he loved having Russell as a teammate. Cousy would be the first to admit that having Russell on the team is what transformed them from a good team to a championship team. But at the same time that Russell arrived in Boston, Cousy was considered the best player in the NBA. He had recently won the league's MVP award, and Cousy had been to the All-Star game every year of his career, and he had led the league in assists 7 times. Cousy was a legitimate superstar and the clear leader of the Celtics. He was worried that Russell would take away a bit of Cousy's shine. And that is natural. I mean, you see that in nearly every sport where a superstar player has to deal with another superstar who just joined the team. And Cousy did not reach out to Russell as much as he could have. And just to be clear on this, I am not speculating on what happened here. Cousy talks about all of this in interviews and his own books. He had trouble approaching Russell because he simply did not know what to say. Cousy knew that what Russell was dealing with off the court, but he never approached Russell even to say, "Hey Russ, are you okay?" Cousy says today that he should have invited Russell out for drinks or dinner or even go see a movie together while on the road. Cousy said that his own shyness led him to just keep to himself when he was not doing something basketball related. Russell would hang out with some of the other guys, but rarely with Cousy, and that is something that Cousy regrets. As they got older, Cousy wanted to connect with Russell. Cousy would talk to some of the other guys from the team like Heinsohn, Sam Jones, Ramsey, or Havlicek, and Cousy would ask about Russell. And the response he got was almost always something like, "Oh yeah, I just talked to Russ last week," or "Oh, I was just in Seattle and I had dinner with Russ." To Cousy, it seemed that everyone else on their team had regular contact with Russell, but not him. And that saddened him. So at one point, Cousy decided to write a letter to Russell to try to reconnect. He said to Russell in the letter that he should have done more and that he should have invited him out more, and that he should have asked about what Russell was dealing with off the court. He apologized for not being a better friend when they were teammates on the Celtics. Now, it took a couple of years to get a response, but eventually he got it. Out of the blue, he got a call from Bill Russell, who said that he just wanted to check in and see how his friend, Bob Cousy, was doing. It was the healing that both men needed. In my research, I could find only 3 people that Russell ever referred to as a friend. I say that because Russell did not throw around that word lightly. There are some people who seemingly are friends with half the world, and that's fine. I have no issue with a loose usage of the word friend. But for Bill Russell, it meant everything, and he only referred to a few people as friends. Now, as far as I could dig up, he only used it for the following 3 people, and I'm sure there are more, but I simply could not find them. So anyway, here we go. Bill Russell referred to Red Auerbach as his friend. Russell even wrote an entire book about his relationship to Red Auerbach. Later, at Wilt Chamberlain's funeral, he referred to Wilt Chamberlain as his friend. And during Cousy's retirement ceremony back in 1963, he referred to Bob Cousy as his friend. When Bill Russell retired from basketball in 1969, Cousy and his wife sent him a very nice desk clock, and Russell kept that clock on his desk for the rest of his life. It was a reminder of his time playing alongside his friend, Bob Cousy. Now, the thing about this story is the impact that it had on me personally. It is one of those stories that actually got me thinking about my own life and who I call friend. It was an incredible reminder to reach out to those that I care about and let them know that I care about them. There are times when I see a friend going through a great struggle and I need to say something. I may not have the words, but a simple call, a note, or a text saying, "How are you?" can go a very long way. Now, I'm thankful of that reminder, and I'm glad that Cousy and Russell were able to reconnect later in their lives. So please do not take your friends for granted. Go ahead and send them a message. Well, that is it for today. Join us next time when we share another story from basketball history. That's next time on Basketball History 101, part of the Sports History Network, the headquarters of Sports Yesteryear. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com to find out more about this and other sports history podcasts. If you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts. And check out our page on Facebook. It's called Basketball History 101 Podcast. There you will find short historical posts, and I'll also announce there when new episodes come out. I want to thank my producer and editor, Jacob Loayza. Join us each week as we continue to mine the history of basketball for more great stories in the past. Take care, and see you soon.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
The Sports History Network, where legends live on and the past plays loud. Welcome to the place where history's proud, from gridiron glory to the hardwood stars, from the racetrack heat to Olympic bars. It's the voices, the stories, the moments you miss, told by fans and pros who live for this. Hook and Themic, the Sports History Network, where the past comes alive. Podcasts and blogs that keep the flame high, from Babe to Brady, Alley to the Dome. If it's history and sports, then this is the home. SportsHistoryNetwork.com, the headquarters of sports yesteryear.